All right, I'm gonna show you something, but before I show you the visual, let's just talk about it for a split second because I really want you to appreciate the humor in what I ended up finding after the fucking fact. All right, so here's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to what was the city? Did they say the city here? Well, all right, I don't know where this is. Anyways, a woman battling cancer recently was left without part of her tongue until doctors figured out a fix by using part of her leg to reconstruct her tongue. Yes. Oh, here we go. It's in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Shout out to Colorado. Cameron Newsom, 42 years old, of Colorado Springs, Colorado, had to have half her tongue removed to deal with excruciating pain while fighting a rare infection of a squamous cell carcinoma.
Get the fuck out of here!
At the time of her diagnosis, she lost over 7 pounds because she was unable to eat or drink. She was 33 at the time and in very good shape and couldn't understand why this was happening to her. Once the pain started, she was prescribed antibiotics, which only made the symptoms and pain worse. She soon learned those spots were tumors and she had stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma. Them shits don't play. Apparently, she thought it was a death sentence at the time. Straight away, her reaction was like, "I'm gonna fight this shit. Let's go. Y'all ain't fucking. I ain't scared of shit." During the 9.5-hour surgery, oral surgeons cut off the infected portion of her tongue and replaced it with skin and muscle from her thigh. Newsom required 9 more weeks of radiation and chemo to get rid of the remaining cancer cells, but she has since recovered. The weirdest part of the whole experience was when she felt a rough texture on the thigh part of her tongue.
Get the fuck out of here!
When I looked in the mirror, it had started growing leg hair.
Get the fuck out of here!
She got the hairy tongue. Holy shit, look at that. That's amazing. One time for humanity, though. All jokes aside. One time for humanity. She's been through some shit, and they replaced a missing portion of her tongue with a piece from her thigh.
Get the fuck out of here!
I didn't even know that shit was possible. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Now and I could joke about this. Don't think I'm being insensitive because she's now cancer-free. So shout out to Cameron. Cancer-free. She did have to relearn how to speak and eat though, saying that her fuzzy new tongue was a little difficult and constantly tingly and hard to maneuver, I suppose, because it just felt a little bit different than what she's used to. All right. Now, what I was going to tell you guys about that I wanted to share with you though is I always like to get a visual for you guys. I like to get a little bit of video to put together for any stories I may find. And there isn't always a news clip or, an interview or anything I could just include. Now, on YouTube, what I've learned from researching for the show is that often what they do is they have people that just start accounts. And what they do to try and get ad revenue or whatever is that they will have AI put together basically like a computer generated story. So they'll take the article and then they'll put it to a soundtrack, put some music or something, and then they'll get stock images that match words that the computer pulls off of the article, right? So you'll probably come across these fucking things every now and again on YouTube, a news story, and it'll just be terrible. It's like unwatchable. I would say that this one that I found for this story is probably a really solid argument for the fact that artificial intelligence is probably a long way off.
A woman who had half of her tongue replaced with a piece of her thigh in order to fight cancer recently noticed it started growing hair. After Cameron Newsom, 42, received a diagnosis for stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma, the second most common form of skin cancer, doctors removed the left side of her tongue and replaced it with skin and muscle from her thigh, she told Newsflare. Before her diagnosis in 2013, Newsom said she began noticing white spots on her tongue. After 2 negative biopsies, she said she began feeling excruciating pain in her tongue. Eventually, a pink tumor formed on her tongue and she underwent a 3rd biopsy. That's when doctors discovered she had cancer. Newsom, who lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado, told Newsflare she did not receive a diagnosis until 3 years after the initial spot appeared. She explained that she lost over 7 pounds at the time of her diagnosis because she wasn't able to eat or drink. It took 3 years from when the first spot originally appeared for doctors to finally diagnose me. No one ever mentioned it could be oral cancer, she said. Straight away my reaction was, I'm ready to fight this. She said she was only 33 years old at the time of her diagnosis and was in great shape, so she was confused about how this could happen to her. When I got home that day I googled my type of cancer and as you can imagine the results were absol. There were images of people after having their jaws removed or sawed in half. I'd never been so scared. Squamous cell carcinoma is a form of skin cancer that is characterized by accelerated growth of the squamous cells commonly found in the mouth, throat or lungs. The Skin Cancer Foundation estimated more than 15,000 Americans die from this form of cancer each year. Experts recommend avoiding unprotected exposure to ultraviolet, UV, radiation by wearing sunscreen, avoiding tanning beds and staying in the shade. After Newsom's diagnosis, she underwent 3 rounds of chemotherapy before the tumor was completely removed and replaced with a piece of her thigh. After the more than 9-hour-long surgery, Newsom underwent 45 rounds of radiation and 3 additional rounds of chemotherapy, Newsflare reported. 9 years later, Newsom said she has had no signs of regression, although half of her tongue is always numb and she can only taste with the right side.
Oh shit. Damn, there's a bunch of dudes
She also
at a
said
wedding
the left side of her tongue is connected to her gums, which makes it take longer for her to eat.
Now there's just fire. It's just a bunch of fire. Yo, make some fucking noise. AI.
Get the fuck out of here.
Artificial intelligence. Danger, Will. Get the fuck out of here. Bro, and you want me to believe that that we're in the Matrix? All right, I'm telling you right now, there's no fucking way that right there is evidence of artificial intelligence. If that's the level that we're dealing with right now, there's no agents coming for me in the near future. All right, I'm telling you right now. Jesus Christ. Yes, I think we need a software update, Agent Smith. All right, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? I saw this shit. I was like, bro, what is this? And I was like, I just gotta include this. I gotta share this with you guys. It's fucking hilarious. All right, well there you go. Artificial intelligence. 0.
Get the fuck out of here.
YouTube 1. Yes, exactly. Fuck cancer. That's the important part, all right? Fuck cancer.
The GTFOH podcast.
Just what the world needed. One more podcast.
Get the fuck out of here.